we've seen also the kind of divergent positions. Country like China or countries like El Salvador have taken diametrically opposite positions. You can't get into much of what's happening in the Standing Committee on Finance, and we appreciate that. But sitting where you are, what do you think of the government's approach so far vis-a-vis how you think the government should be dealing with these challenges?
Let me just say at the threshold that, my chairman, Mr. Jayant Sinha's nuanced position here, and indeed his nuanced position every time he's chaired any meeting of the Finance Committee, unfortunately is not borne out by the mandarins of the Finance Ministry. I've always said that Mr. Sinha's in the wrong finance sector of the government. He should have been in the ministry rather than chairing a committee. I've never been a fan of the finance ministry in India. I've been a taxpayer for the last 37 years.
Now he's wondering, are you a friend or a foe? This is like a frenemy.
Well, I've said this far too often now and far too publicly. It's been taken note of, I'm sure. And I mean it from the heart that I think, he would be an incredible asset. For no other reason that he takes
So at least
a knowledgeable and
he's an
nuanced,
asset. There's no question mark around
and
that. Yeah.
knowledgeable position. And indeed, even when the government was still contemplating, the legislation on it, he had the sagacity to say, why don't we, invite some experts and at least let's start taking the first steps, the baby steps, if it were, towards our committee's, responses and formulations, if and when and for sure that bill will come to us. So that's the kind of farsightedness he had at the beginning of this year's Finance Committee. But like I said, I agree with Priyanka that government is speaking in many languages, at cross purposes, has no clue where it's going at the moment. As with any other egregious steps that this government has, many governments in the past, but particularly the finance ministry has taken, retrospective taxation, for instance, etc., etc. So there have been many missteps by the finance ministry, and this one promises again to be very serious missteps.
You said that the finance ministry mandarins aren't understanding minutiae. Can you spell that out? Like, where do you think they're getting it wrong?
Look, as Priyanka said, if the RBI governor, day in, day out, and he's supposed to be your principal regulator in the country, if day in, day out, he goes on record and repeatedly to warn the public saying, this is just hot air, do not touch it. You touch it at your peril. Now, if that's going to be your RBI governor's studied position on a daily basis, how can the finance ministry bring in a tax to say what the RBI governor says is simply hot air is something we plan to tax?
Now the BJP can say the governor doesn't speak for us, he's independent. It's proof of his independence.
Now kindly see what the taxation policy is. You bring in a 1% tax when globally everybody acknowledges that the tax slab should be 0.01%. Where is 0.01% and where is 1%? The other day I read in the Indian Express, day before, that government is now planning on this entire GST thing. Again, thinking is the paradigm is between 0.1% and 1%. Which country in the world do finance ministry mandarins talk of a bandwidth of 0.1% to 1%? I can understand 0.1% to 0.3%, 0.5%, or 0.95 basis points to 1%. But it can't become 0.1% to 1%. How can it be a 100-time jump? So if this is how the finance ministry talks, all they are going to do is drive this underground. All they are going to do is drive it abroad, and that's what's happening. All your blockchains, all your servers, everybody is going to take this abroad. Ensure that India doesn't get any of the spin-off benefits, and that's typical of our finance ministry, that anything that can be productive, that can be a great asset, that can be a wealth creator, a wealth producer, a wealth generator, a wealth distributor, drive it either underground or abroad. That's their outstanding vision.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.